I am Kevin Iole. Welcome to Yahoo Sports. And who doesn't love a great heavyweight fight? I know I love a great heavyweight fight. And on Saturday, in the main event of UFC Fight Night, we have one. Alexander Volkov, who is number 6 in the rankings, takes on my next guest, number 11, Tom Aspinall, in London. Tom, fighting in front of a hometown crowd in the main event of a UFC, that's got to be kind of like a dream for you, I would think.
Absolutely. What a dream. This is what I envisioned in my mind for a long time. I've been going to these events every time that the UFC is in London. I was at the last one. I was at Michael Bisping against Anderson Silva. I've been in so many over the years. So, oh man, exciting times for a little fanboy like me.
There's a lot to get into with you, but you mentioned Michael Bisping, and I think he's a good place to start here. When Bisping became the champion, there had really not been any, English MMA fighters of note, right? I mean, in the entire UK, I guess you could say there hadn't been any fighters of note, and Bisping then kind of came up, won the Ultimate Fighter, and went on to obviously become UFC middleweight champion. Now, just on this card, you and Paddy Pimblett, I know Ian Gary from Ireland is really getting a lot of hype. What do you think it is now that has led to this explosion of MMA in England and developing so many good prospects out of there?
I don't know. Like our country is catching up the United States for sure. Like you guys have a big combat sports background with the wrestling and all the rest of the stuff. Like it's quite an easy transition, but our country has the best boxers in the world. We have some great Thai boxers, and now the wrestling and grappling is also catching up. So I think with guys like Bisping, with guys like Leon Edwards, with guys like Darren Till, and top level guys, I think the rest of us just kind of realised like, oh, shit, we might be from the UK, but like we can really fight as well if we want to. If we turn our mind to this thing and start to show people like we're from the UK, especially from the north, like we have some great fighting spirit up here, and yeah, I think we definitely we're born with that fighting spirit, I think.
The heavyweight division in the UFC, I think, is probably as strong as it's been in quite a while. You're just outside the top 10. And I thought you really made a name for yourself in your win against Sergey Spivak. You got a bonus post fight there that I know you said you want to buy a house. I'll ask you about that a little later. But, what do you think the win over Spivak did for you? And do you feel like you're a different fighter today as a result of that win than you were going into that fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think Spivak's very good. We just seen last weekend or the weekend before, like he's levels above a lot of the other guys. And I think, probably one day in the future we might meet again sometime. We're both young up and coming guys, but yeah, any time that you can get a win in the UFC, it's impressive. But when you can get a win and basically not be touched in the fight, it just really shows your level and really proves to yourself that what you're doing is really working. So my confidence since that fight has probably gone to a whole other level. I was very confident anyway in my own skills, on my own ability, but now I know like that my skill level is very high.
After that fight, you called out Blagoy Ivanov, who is a good fighter. I think he's ranked 14 now. I think he was ranked 12th at the time. I think the UFC maybe saw more in you than you did because they decided to put you against Volkov, a guy that, when Volkov loses, it's only the elite of the elite that beat him. I mean, he's right up there at the top in terms of beating everybody else. So were you surprised when you got the call and they said, hey, we want to give you Alexander Volkov?
Yeah, I mean, I was and I wasn't. And I think to be honest, I think it was a good move from us and from the UFC as well. Like, I think it works really well. Like, I've said this today a few times in interviews, and I've been saying it to my coaches and stuff like that, and they agree. I'm going to try and say this, Kevin, without sounding too much of an arrogant guy and an ignorant guy, but it's difficult to say that way. But anybody outside of the top 10, I want to so the difference between myself and the top level heavyweights is experience. I don't think it's skill level. I don't think it's power. I don't think it's speed. I don't think it's any of that stuff. The big difference is experience. Now, any of the guys that I fight outside the top 10, I'm going to run through them guys quick. And yeah. I'm not saying that these guys don't have the ability to beat me, because of course they do. Like, this is heavyweight MMA with big guys with small gloves. They can hit me and knock me out at any time. I'm completely aware of that. But when it comes to skill level, I am head and shoulders above anybody else outside of the top 10. So realistically, me fighting anyone outside the top 10, top 15, they're not really going to give me any octagon time, which is what I need to go to the next level. So that's why we had to take the step forward. So when this opportunity came against Alexander Volkov, it was either we take it now in the home country in a main event in London, or we take it the fight after I have another 2-minute performance and run through somebody and get no more experience. So we might as well take it now.
That makes a lot of sense. Now you got a black belt in BJJ, but your striking has really looked good. You have worked a little bit on your hands with Tyson Fury. Is that not correct? The WBC heavyweight champion?
Yes, that is correct. That's correct.
So what, like, I mean, Tyson's obviously a great personality and everything, but, I know he's a guy that's really serious. He loves the sport of boxing and the art of boxing, as he calls it. What has he been able to do for you to help your hands? And, because I know MMA striking and boxing striking are different. So, how has Tyson been able to impact what you bring to the table?
I mean, the work that I did with Tyson, it obviously has helped my hands and my boxing a lot, but the main thing that Tyson helped with is mentally. Like, he has helped me so much, like my outlook. I don't even think, like, he wasn't even meant to. Like, he didn't go, tell me any, magical stories or give me any great advice. It was just like being around someone like that every day, seeing how he approaches the sport, seeing how he approaches combat sports and competition, and just how light-hearted he is and how much he enjoys this thing. Like, I was putting too much pressure on myself before, and now since being around him a lot, like I just, I just look at it for what it is now, and it's just a sport. If I get knocked out on Saturday, hopefully I'm not going to. But if I get knocked out in 30 seconds, like I'll wake up Sunday and I've still got a great family. I've still got people that love me. I've still, I'm still living my dream and doing the right things in my life. So. Like, it's just a sport, and now I just look at it for what it is. I don't think my opponent's like the boogeyman or anything. Like, he's a guy stood across from me with a pair of gloves on, coming to do what the other 15 guys have tried to do before. So, like, I just see it for what it is and what it is for me now. After being with Tyson, he's just a sport.
It seemed to me that your fan base grew a lot after your last performance. And I think just kind of like Khalil Rountree last week, where, he made that emotional comment after the fight, after he had the win. I think, your comments about, trying to build a home for your family. And, you came across as such a real and humble guy. So you got a $50,000 bonus there. You said you wanted to buy a house or build a house. Follow up on that. Have you done that? Has anything happened as a result of winning that last fight?
Yeah. So let me just start by saying, I don't like these answers. They're not so that I come across humble or any, like, these are just honest answers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to come across any certain way. Like, this is literally an honest answer. Because I see a lot of people doing these fake answers, you know what I mean, to try and come across a certain way. I don't like that stuff. Like, I'm just trying to be me. The video of me, tearing up on camera when I got the bonus, honestly, I didn't even know the camera was there. I had no idea. It was a guy with a phone in his hand. I had no idea. If it was up to me, that video wouldn't have been posted because, I don't want to be crying on. I don't want to be crying on camera. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that video posted, but that's out of my control. But yeah, to answer the question, I have bought a house for the family. We are in the house as of 2 months ago, and amazing times to be, 28 years old with 3 children and a wife and be able to support everybody. Great times.
Good for you. I mean, that's what you like to hear, right? And now, the UFC has been pretty well known. You hear some people complain about what they make or whatever, but the UFC, the one thing that nobody complains about is usually when you become a champion, that's where the money is, right? Being at that highest level. And you were there right now. So my question would be this, how do you guard against, Dana always calls it the Klingons, when you get to the top level, you have all the people, grabbing at you and wanting, all of a sudden the entourage gets bigger, the circle gets bigger. How do you avoid having that happen? And maybe, A, so you end up keeping your money and not go to other people, and B, that you remain on the same focus path that you're on now as a guy that's, hasn't had that huge success yet?
Oh, very easy for me because I have my father looking after stuff. Like, my father's been with me, obviously, from when I had absolutely no money, like nothing, zero. He used to pay for everything. So he's not just going to let some, guy off the street come in and sweet talk his way in and start taking all my money. Like, no way that is going to happen. Like, I got my dad there who co-manages me, and there's absolutely no way that he's going to let anything like that happen. So I don't have that to worry about.
That's very interesting. Yeah, two other questions, and I'll let you go. Number one, I talked to Patty Pimblett the other day, and it was typical of what I find of a lot of fighters from the UK. Very brash, very outspoken, very confident. Bisping is a very close friend of mine, but I would say Bisping was that way as a fighter, and obviously Conor McGregor that way, and I wonder, you're different than that. You grow up, you watch fighting when you were a kid, you see how a lot of the British fighters have handled themselves, and a lot of them like to talk and play to the crowd. You're not that way. How did you avoid becoming kind of the class clown and the talker in the group?
I don't know. I'm just trying to be myself. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in being anybody else. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'd just be uncomfortable, like to be that guy who's playing up to the cameras. And, I see a lot of these guys, especially maybe even more so in the UK. It seems to me that these guys are not even really interested about the fights and the performances. It's more like they're interested in getting attention and
right.
and they're just fighting for attention all the time, man. And it's just like, it just comes off kind of corny. Like, I've got 3 small children, and I see that shit like every day. Like, I don't want to. I'm not that guy who fights for attention. If you want to watch my fight, tune in. I'm an exciting fighter, but I'm not trying to be a celebrity. Do you know what I mean? Like, celebrities for celebrity people, and fighters are fighters, in my opinion. And half of these people, they're just trying to, in my opinion, they're trying to be more like celebrities. I'm not aiming this at Paddy or anybody. I'm just talking about a lot, like you say, a lot of UK fighters over the years. They like to run their mouth and try and be like Conor McGregor-ish. And, Conor's Conor, and you, whoever you are you. Be you. Don't be nobody else.
Yeah, good advice. Last couple of things, talking about Volkov, I mentioned before, he's really only, Cyril Gahn was his most recent loss. He lost to Derek Lewis, but if you remember, if you watch most of that fight, 14 minutes and some seconds, Volkov was unbelievable against Derek Lewis. What problems does he present to you, other than obviously his size? He's tall and rangy. What problems does he present, and how do you think what do you have to do to overcome those?
Oh, he brings a whole load of problems. He's 6'8". Obviously, as you just mentioned, he has so much more experience than me. I believe I got told today that he's got more knockouts than I have fights. So he's got a lot of knockouts, and he's got a lot of 5-rounders under his belt, a lot of 3-rounders under his belt. So the experience is there. He's been fighting at a high level for a long time. He's fought in front of, loads of crowds over the years. I've never really fought in front of a full capacity crowd before. And, he's just got loads on paper. Like, it's basically a mismatch in his favor, but on paper doesn't really mean anything when it comes to actually stepping in the octagon and fighting. And I just think, the massive advantage that I've got over the rest of the heavyweight division is nobody has any idea of what I can actually do in the octagon. People think they've got an idea, but they've not seen nothing. Like, I've shown minimal, like the minimum of my skill set is what I've shown so far. So he has no idea. Neither do the rest of the heavyweights have any idea what I can actually bring and what my skill set really is.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. Final question, and we'll go from here. Do you feel like, you win this fight and someone like Cyril Gahn would be in your future? Is that the level of opposition you're going to be looking for next? If you get, you get past Volkov, there's not too many guys left, right? Francis is going to be out for a while. Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion. Do you feel like somebody like Cyril Gahn might be in your near-term future?
We'll just see. We'll just see what happens. But as boring as it might sound, for right now, I've got a big task on my hands on Saturday night. I'm completely aware of it, and I'm aware that this is by far my toughest opponent and biggest fight to date. So right now, I can't even look past Saturday night. Like, this is a big fight for me. So I'm just looking forward to going out there and showing what I can really do.
On Saturday in London, there's going to be the main event. Is going to be a heavyweight fight between this young man, Tom Aspinall, and Alexander Volkov. It's going to be a good fight. Tom, I appreciate it. I'm sure you made a lot of fans with the work you've done coming up to this point. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. We'll speak soon. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother.